Kazwai mese tadzoka zvakare timu yeSalve TV. Ndinoitwa wenyu Monica kunze kweguta, ndini anova nomuti mushamarari ndiye host. Tiri kufara nekuti tatanga goredzva, tiri kuti makorokoto takapinzwa muna 2021 and tiri kudaira kuti izvona hongu tine machallenges asi iro rino gore tinonamatira kuti Mwari vatisunungure, vatibatsire, vatirape zvakare pane iri denda ranetsa. Tete Spiwe, muresai vateereri venyu.
Kwasai vateereri, tadzoka zvekare sekutaura kwaita Monica kunze kweguta. Happy New Year to everybody. Ndoitwa Spiwe Kachidza Mapfumo. I've been on this pasal several times tichitaura nyaya dzakangosiyana siyana tichida kubatsirana nekuti tione kuti tingamuvhe sei kuenda forward dzimwe nguva tinenge takasungikana nezvimwe zvinhu. Thank you.
Thank you. Nkoma Kenny.
Kazwai vateereri. Ini ndinonzi Kenny Gwena. I've been around and I've enjoyed sharing and listening and interacting. Saka I'm looking forward. Ngatitaure.
Tete Mod.
Kazwai vateereri, tadzoka zvese kutaura kwaita vamwe vangu kuti we've been here tichitaura nyaya dzakangosiyana siyana. Toda ngotendawo Tete Monica nemukana woyu for our community to do these things. Zvoda kuti zvitaurwe, tinongobatsirana tichiteerera iron sharpening iron, ngomusi unobata chawabata pane mumwe ataura. So we are very excited to be here, and kana vateereri muchikwanisa kuparticipate muchat umo muchibvunza questions to interact, that will be fun. Mazvita.
Tinotenda nhasi tine nyaya isinganyanyotaurwa nezvayo. Nyaya yekuti panorwa mukono bundo ndo rinosafa. Panorwa vabereki, vana ndo vanosafa. Asi tikuda kuti titarise kuti kana vana vaya vakura, zvinoitika muupenyu hwavo kubudikidza neexperience yavakaita vari vana vadiki. Ndiyo topic yedu iyoyi, kuti tinzwe kuti zvona vanhu vakuru zvinozova affecta sei. Kuda vabereki pavanenge vachiita zvavari kuita pamberi pevana, kungave kupopoterana, kungave kurovana, kungave kupanana iya inonzi passive aggression iya, yekuti zvonona murume mukuru achiita mood kubva nhasi kusvika chitatu asi kutaura nemunhu mumba imo. Anoti ari pafoni achitaura nevanhu vari kunzoko. Anenge akapombonoka chaizvo, akangoisa foni ya pasi, chachikara zvakare. Vana vari kungoita walk on eggshells, mai vachiita walk on eggshells. Saka toda kuti titaure kuti behavior dzakadaro dzine ma-effects akaita sei kuvana. Da kutanga naTete Spiwe.
Mazvita henyu. Inyaya yatinoona nguva dzese, yatinoziva. Dzimwe nguva vamwe vakazviita experience as well, vachikura, wachiona situation yamataura iyoyo yekuti mumba was on either physically or emotionally. And vana kana vachikura zviya, vanozviona but they're vulnerable and havana simba rekuita anything to change situation yepamba. Saka patinenge tiri mudzimba apaka, nyaya yekuroorana haizi nyaya iri easy. It can be very easy, it can be very complicated ngekuti auziwe kuti munhu achazoita sei mangwana. And hapana anozviziva izvozvo. What you see is what you want to see. And munhu anenge ari right tereki, aiwa ari right, dzimwe nguva anombodhakwa zvake asi aiwa ari right fun tete. And sometimes kutuka kwakaita mai guru wake kana tete wake ndakasvika ini ndakasvika but vanenge vamukanganisira. Tinoramba we see what we want to believe. And nhasi hatisi kuda kutaura nyaya yekuti vanhu vasati varoorana vanofanira kuona chii. Ngekuti it's a topic on it for another day. It's a huge topic. Asi mudzimba umuka, it's important to notice kuti this behavior it's going to go south very soon. And dzimwe nguva inobva yangotanga nesouth and uchingoisa kaband aid iyo chironda chichingoita festa aiwa kana ndaita mwana zvichaita nani and woita mwana baba maningi but munhu anogara nazvo he who wears the shoe is the one who knows where it hurts. Saka zvinoramba zvichienderera mberi vana vozvarwa. Trauma inoitika kune vana haimbotanga wa 6 years old waona mai vake vachirohwa vachidonhera pasofa. Inotanga when they are babies. Vachivhunduka a baby. Vachiona mai vake vachitaura this is a 6-month baby achivhunduka. That's also coming as to what eventually will make the person. We damage our children from childhood because we are in a relationship. It is untenable. And we don't realize what is going to damage vana vedu. I spoke about my infants and growing up. I'm sure I'll leave it to my other two Kenny na mod. But I could say sure. But it's not that I say I'm not a psychologist. No, but I was married for 23 years and I've got one child and I've been in marriage and I've known a lot of people. I've also counseled say a friend, not as a psychologist, as a friend, is tete, is vanhu vanogarisana kuti shamwari zvinhu izvi hazvina kumira mushe because zviri kuitika apa une nhumbu iyi kaika. I'm sorry, ndisingade kudira moto kana kuti peturu pa relationship yavo asi anokukwenya ndewako kuti be careful, this is not good. And kana pane vana this is not good. So zvenyu zvika dai mamboenda kumusha go kwatete but akusisina zvinhu zvakadai more so like isusu but akusisina kana uchikwanisa kuenda kucounseling but you get real with yourself, look at it and see where it's going and and come up with a strategy. And I'm not saying leave him and go. No. We're talking about dealing with the situation. It is very volatile, my relationship, very volatile and affects vana, even my relatives one, my closer. I will leave it to other people to go on.
Ndikuyo ukandichiverenga pamwe matimi zvinotanga pa 6 months kana kuti even achiri mucheche. Ndikuyo ukandichiverenga paiti zvinototangira ari mudumbu. Kuvhunduka kunoita mai vacho kuya netension yavanoswera vainayo inoenda futi kumwana. Saka mwana wako paari kuzosara achizvarwa uchirova dundundu pano kuti ndini baba panapa, voice rachona kanorinzwa futi kari mudumbu. Saka voice riya parichakwira katove neanxiety kudhara kamupere. Saka tete modi contribution yenyu.
Maita zvenyu maita henyu andisipiwe nezvamataura nekuti isira hwaro kana kuti foundation yediscussion yedu kuti zvechokwadi hukama hwababa namai hune zvakawanda zvaunoita pavana kubvira like what you are all saying kubvira mwana achitori mudumbu. So munhu let me say also a disclaimer. I'm also not a psychologist. I do have a psychology background. I'm a mom, I'm a mother, Saka tikutaura from an experience perspective, from an zvaunenge uchingoona zvinoitika mukati meupenyu nekudzidzana vanhu vakasiyana-siyana. Munhu kana kuti isu tese takagara panapa ndofunga kuti we are a combination of genetics. Pane zvimwe zvinhu zvandisingagone kuchinja zvakafanana nekuti bvudzi rangu, mhanza yangu, maziso angu, there are certain things I cannot change. Ndo zvazviri ndakatongogadzirwa ndakadaro. Asi environment ine zvakawanda zvatarangwa naandisipiwe zvinobvira munhu ari mudumbu. And environment iyoyo inoramba tirisu vabereki. Mabatiro nemataurirano atinge tichiita vakomana vanenge vachitodzidzawo from baba kuti madzimai ndo zvaanoitwa. Vana baba ndo mabatirwo. Saka these children or isu wacho wana takamira sevana and parents as well. We have a lot of things that we learned from just watching our parents doing things good and bad. And then because of our choices. There are parents who can create a very positive environment for vana vavo, genetics dziri right, asi munhu omeka machoices ake. Saka munhu is a combination of my genetics, environment, nemachoices akanomeka. But nhasi da kuti tingoita focus kutaura kwaita handisipiwe on the impact ye-environment. Machoices acho anozoimpactwa neenvironment here, kuti mwana azoti ndakwenda kunodhakwa na baba here, kana kuti magenetics hatizive kuti mwana azoroora mukadzi otanga kurova mukadzi akaona baba vachirova mai here kana kuti machoices ake akazomeka. Saka ndo I want to just wanted to expand from what Andispiwe left it off and toendera hedu mberi tozodzoka zvakare kana maita come around kwandiri.
Koma Ken.
Yeah, Tete, thank you so much. Thank you, Auntie Maud. Thank you, Tete Spiwe. Zvamataura ndizvo chaizvo ina handisina zvekutaura zvinopfuura ipapo. You know, I like to go back to Vaberi because in my background, in my training is based on theology. I've had discussions in the one, you know, whose responsibility was it? Kuti Cain ended up who he was, kind of kuti, you know, Esau ended up taking the route that he took. One Esau get a route very different Bible. I was looking at Jezebel and Ahab and the kids they had, you know, and so on and so forth. And you see, Nana Tete is consistent. You know, there's a combination of genetic. There's a combination of genetic, environmental, I would add spiritual. And then there's your own choice because kids, there's always choice. You always have a choice when it comes to, you know, my actions and attitudes. There's always a place where you come to where you say, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to do this.
Okay. To just
now, moving forward, the thing is, my choices anoitwa nevanu there is a result of certain things when someone chooses to do so. It boils down to creating a relationship or an environment which is positive for both my parents nevana. Because you know, again, I kind of like using you raise a Frankenstein. Mangwana zvinenge zvakukunetsa wakushamoti komana kuchichiri kuitika. Hey, it's your fault kana ari mwana musikana. Baba wanenge wakuti imimi basa renyu mwana musikana wona zvaari kuita. Kana ari mukomana iwewe amai uchagona kuti ari kuitawo zvamunoita. Tinomubvunza pana panogara akazvivharira murumu make. Kuda kumutaura ihasha chete chete. Chii chinenge chaitika. So it all boils down to my environment and my parents. Relationship with my parents, it impacts not only in my memory too, but even and again it spills over even my relatives like your mother, the husband's mother or mukadzi wacho's mother. You know, anoti amai vauya kuzoona mukwasha nemwana wavo nekuzoona vazukuru mai vouya vogarapo mai ndikugadzirire tii yafo munhu anenge akukanda ziso kana kukanda ambuya wake ziso. Zvese izvozvo zvino create a very very unhealthy relationship for not only my memory too, but extended relatives and also immediate extended relatives like my parents. And I don't know how best we can say it. My relationship is best to deal with it. Kana munhu akuona kuti zvinhu hazvisiri right to deal with it there and then. But I know I speak to a lot of younger people, young adults, and you know, everybody wants a family, everybody wants a marriage. But dzimweni dzenguva you're damaging yourself, you're damaging your children by staying in a very very toxic environment because of a partner. It could be the other way. You could have a mother who just was not cut for motherhood. A single right for motherhood, and he as a husband because it sounds like a lot of times we point too many fingers to but there are also some mothers who are just not cut for this thing, who just don't have any idea how to be loving, how to be supportive, even to create an environment which is loving for even their husbands. Who just are not there. So, you know, it's good to kind of, if you realize there's something wrong here, deal with it, go for help, go for whatever. And if it's not working, it's best to do it alone. I like to cut it. No chance.
Ndangoita curious pamataura kuti variko madzimai asiri cut out to be loving kuvana asiri cut out to be loving kuvarume vavo, kunenge kungori kupopota, kudzikisira, kutukirira even pane vanhu. So kana ari mukadzi ari kuenda achinokomplaina kuti ndizvo zvandiri kusangana nazvo, anoudzwa kunzi gara, ndo zvinoita dzimba. I'm just curious kuti varume pane kwavanoenda here, pane kwavanoenda votaurawo here vonzi gara ndo zvinoita dzimba, o kana vachigara what makes them stay? Navo vari kugarira vana here sezvinoita vakadzi kuti nini handiende ndinofira pano ndogarira vana vangu? Why are they staying?
They're staying because there's some good men out there. There are some kids, young men who were brought up zvakanaka, and what they want, when they get married, they want to raise my families zvakanaka and raise children really right. Anosangana na marujata, and it's like I said, when people meet, she's all good and she looks good and she's polite, takasangana kuchechi and whatever. Mumba ngomuti tse mumba atanga sisi avagare amugare neemaid anenge achingopopota chete vakuto sisi wakutoita pem wakutofunga ndiyo mukadzi wepano. What is that going to do with anything? And achingopopota all the time and mari ichingopachirwa, and those are some of the things cause major problems like financial issues and just behavior yemunhu kune immediate people vaanogara naye, to the husband even. And don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about kuti kana baba waenda unopfugama uchimupa mvura. We are not even in that. Hatisi kutaura nyaya iyoyo. We are just talking good people, decent people, and what does she bring to the family, and how is she raising the children? Munhu anotaura zvinhu zvisiri right nemuromo uyu vana vachinzwa. Murume anogona kuenda kunotaurira kumusha dego kuna natete. Here they can call me, you know what, Spiwe, your friend, honestly, this is not right. I'm not feeling happy here. Things are just not right. Then talk to a friend or talk to whoever you think could be supportive, can talk to that person. Those are the alternative issues. And vanenda kuchurch, I know that kune counseling, counsel, my marriage counselors over there, assist. They do go out there for support, yes. But sometimes munhu anoramba achiita internalize this kind of abuse, really, kusvika asvika up to here. And anoita, as we know, what happens when somebody is under pressure, they'll act out. They stay away from home because they say, you know what, I'm not staying in this war zone. This is just not okay, right? And children, tight vana, because they have nowhere to go. Kumba kwavo vanogara vakavhara madho, mwana achaita react, like you'd expect kana uchitaura naye, or behavior yake inongochinja. So, and it could be because of a mother or a father who is not supportive in an environment which is not good. And that's when we start to damage our children and damage people, damage other people. Yeah. And it goes on and on and on. And if it's not stopped, it's going to be a culture in that family that is just how it's going to be, baba wakangu akada, sekuru wake vangu vanu vakadzi wako wakashingaiwa waigara wakatakurirwa wachirohwa wachiita se, you wonder kuti zvinobva kupi, how comes zviri kuramba zvichienderera mberi? These are the things that we need to address. And I know in our culture sometimes kumusha vanhu kuti enda kwatete, enda udini, anachataura now, enda kwasekuru. It gets to a point where those people won't make a difference. You need to look at it and see what's going on. Is this thing, can it be remedied, or I need to make a decision?
Nkoma Kenny, speaking from a men's perspective.
Okay, I've seen a lot. I've seen things. Some of them I cannot say because they happen in an environment you have to protect, that information. Then there are other things. So I tend to talk around issues and ndakaona growing up. And personally, I don't have an issue the relationship between Baba and Amai, because by the time I was born, my dad was gone. I mean, there are issues around that. But, why was he gone? I'm just trying right now to piece together what happened before I was born. So you can see, in a way, it's still affecting me. there are questions. There are questions I've asked my mom. And good things, bad things, and all of that. But there are questions, and there are certain people who are privileged enough that they don't have to ask those questions. They don't have to deal with that. They don't have to go back to when they were, before they were born to understand certain things. But I've if the family is like a den of monsters, definitely it'll affect vana. You're actually raising little monsters, by the time they grow up, and they're internalizing kuti kana baba vachirova mai kana kuti mai vachirova baba. I'll tell you a story. My friend told me story ya baba vake vaibva kubhawa every day vakadhakwa, and he would come home late and he would start shouting vachiri kunze, ndouraya munhu inini, every day. And the kids would hide behind the door. My vacho would hide behind the door, and then they would still open the door because he is the father. And then he comes in and he does all that, beats people up, until one day the mom said, "Pana kutiza, gare pamakagara, takuona kuti ndiana charowa nhasi, because I'm not going to allow it." And the dad came in. Ndobva vasvika mai vakachinja musiwo zvikanzi kuti rova toni, itatoni zvaroda kuita. And that was the last time he did that. And I just hope the kids learn learn from that. But sometimes bad behavior can be corrected by the people inside of that system.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in, I think, Nana grade 6, 7, I had my neighbors, and I tamba now just next door, Vairoja, one room here next door. So, when they came out to go to Chitamba and Doratenda now Bora, and the dad was a very quiet man. The mom, she talked, but not in a bad way. She was just a person who, was bubbly and talked all the time. And they got along so well. But one day, and that man, that Baba Don, to me, he looked like Jesus. He was a quiet man. He was, gentle. He was, his black beard and all that. And I thought, Jesus, until the day. So he would come home, and my friends would run, for newspaper, and everyone seemed happy. But one day, Baba Wakawia, and he got in for Mayirwa, he got in Dora Varwa, noisy tanga. And then it was getting dark, and we needed to see what was going on because our friends were affected by it. Sakatakamira panze, and you could see, mumba mai light one candle. You could see mimvuri, Baba Chiro mai, and you could see the kids were, really struggling, and we were struggling too. Eventually, the kids tried to, got inside, and they tried to intervene, Bakaroa. What I saw the next day was the mom packed her things and left, and I never saw her again. But from that, my brothers and I sat down, we were just talking, and we were saying, when I grow up, I never want to be like that. Mm-hmm. It was a decision we made. It was something we talked about. And I've been conscious of that all my life, Kuti. I will never be like that, Fortunately, not noise, but in the event, quite a noise. That's the first thing that would come to mind. You step away, you don't put your hands on anyone. But it's a decision that happened a long time ago. Mm-hmm. So, So let me just stop there.
Very profound. Saka decisions mazhinji tinovameka tiri vana vadiki, 4-5 years old. It's either handitwe izvozvo or vachandiona. So ndipo panotangira ma-decisions acho ipapo, or I'll never do something like that. Tete modi.
Wow, this topic is full of emotions. Mm-hmm. It does take you, it's like you are in a river, you're going through the emotions. And if you grow up in Kumusha Zimbabwe, I think most family maybe of our generation, we grew up seeing a lot of these things zvekutaurwa panapa. Culture yedu ndofunga iko zvino zvinhu zvatichinjei zvaanani, but Ndinogarira vana vangu is still there. It's a statement that I grew up hearing as well. And today we are not here to unpack ourselves, but just to, like what Mkoma Kenny did, just to show a tidbit. We're not just speaking things from book. So personally, I can say in the cheetah piggyback from what my other two colleagues said. Now my choice is Inino as a girl. Like I grew up in the church. My parents, Zimbabwean parents, but based on what was going on in their lives, their decisions I made, impact the choices I made and whom I married in what I did with my own life based on what I had seen in the home that I grew up. It wasn't a perfect home, but it wasn't a horrible home either. But I had the choice and the mind and but there are certain things but absolutely not, because it was a choice I made. And I do hope that everybody out there listening as a parent, that's a choice that you made. Because you had an absolute choice. That was very disrespectful, or vice versa. And if you are doing the same thing, I'm sorry, that's your problem, because you have a choice to make things better. Because what the people said, broken people want to break others, unhappy people want to make other people unhappy. Misery loves company. Miserable, you're always trying to make other people miserable. That's just the fact of life. So those are my choices. As a mom, there are certain things I know, geez, nobody else in this house knows where this came from. I know exactly where it came from. Bad behavior. You have to be honest and candid with you. Just take it back. It's part of my character, but the character I'm going to my values, my beliefs. Why am I constantly striving as a mom? Maybe because of my mouth or because of this. Take a step back and really think, where did this come from? You will be surprised at how much a lot of the negativity that follows us in you. But if you're not true with yourself, you're constantly going to be breaking other people, and you pass on that root to the next generation. And then I know marriages the way we are raising our children is not the best. We're constantly fighting. You can still make a change. Diaspora, you can get into a car and go and stay outside. Your children don't have to see all your fights and hear all the negative words that you say to each other, because out there. You're creating monsters earlier. Yes, people fight, but nobody signs up for that. Things change once you get in there and things begin to happen. People evolve, people change. That's just how life is. But what we need is to be candid with ourselves. This next generation, what kind of people am I creating by my behavior and right now? And then earlier, like I said earlier, it's a kokatoimbwa Steve Makonya by the way. So I really don't know where that came from. I mean, I feel like that's just how our culture was set up. I don't know if I can only speak for myself, and I can only speak for me. Would I make the same decisions that our parents made? I don't know. In fact, I don't think so. Because like one of our contributors the decision is for the one in the situation to make. Auntie Chido, that's very true. That's a very personal decision somebody has to make. So you have to make a choice. This is not going to be positive. this has to be negative, and look for help. And if your life is in danger, like zvakaita mai vataurwa nanti, do what you have to do. Do what you have to do to make the situation right. We're not here to tell anybody how to fix those situations, just unpacking some of these things. Train up a child in the way they should go. As a parent, ndongofunga kuti basa rangu inini ndiri steward wepachechi iyoyo. Steward basa rake nderekuti zvataurwa namufundisi achitaurira vana, I have a job to do. Do your job right, because kana vana vaya vazobuda vanomeka machoices avo, you should be able to still say, hey, I don't like what I'm seeing, but I think I did my best. Do your best. That way mwana wako akangaita chikara, you don't feel any part of any responsibility. Maybe so do your best so that as a parent you can walk away without any regrets. In your heart of hearts, the truth will always be the truth. I did the right thing. I tried my best. I failed here, I failed there, but the best that I could with what I had, I did. Come around.
Ndakandida kungotsigira zvatanga mode, because a lot of people I don't know what to do. You don't know what to do, but you know what, I know kune vanhu vari kuZimbabwe who might be watching as well, and a lot of people who are in the diaspora who are watching nyaya tiri kutaura iyi. Munoziva kuti handizivi kuti ndoita seka. It's a choice. And it's a very dangerous choice, and it's unacceptable, because this is 2021. There is nothing you can't run into on internet. And I'm not saying you run your life on internet only, but there are so much self-help programs anoitwa. Nema programs akadai na salvia iwawa, but not nyaya imbotererawo, because you hear something maybe it's a point I never thought of it that way, or I thought about it, but I thought maybe I'm not. It's not okay that I should do introspection. Even my WhatsApp groups, I know which some of them are like, I want to do a same WhatsApp group, because some of the things don't listen to them, they're crazy, But also there are quite some very powerful ones. When you're at church, mama, the mama sit at church, it just look, let me tell you, let's cut it as it is. There is no need to do this way. You need to get yourself organized in such and such a manner. If your family is like this, look, I think you need to sit down with your partner. There are so many groups and so many friends and so many programs where you could learn things. Teaching on body so much. Because all those little things, they impact the way you behave later on, dealing nema family, nema members of our families, our partners, our children. So really, there is no excuse. In control zira kupi. I know. My mother, one of those women, so they used to go and I grew up in this one, a lot of young women were shocked to tell about but that was then, this is now. Maybe it worked then, maybe it doesn't work now, because what they knew, they could only help with what they know. Right. But the information is now broader, and it's entirely up to every individual. Kana kutaurirana seshamwari kuti Monica zvinozvauri kuita zvika unogara uchipfuura pana pakadhakwa na7 kumba manje zvinozofamba sei. All those are little things. As friends, kubatsirana, information is power, and when you know better, you do better.
Muchitaura kudai ndiri kunzwa musoro mangu mubvunzo wekuti ma-couples anoita ma-financial goals, ma-couples anoita ma-goals prosperity, vakadzimba ma-businesses and all that. Do couples have a time to sit down and think, kuti, what do we want for our children? And then as such, what sort of zvakaita sei zvatingaise together in the way yatiri as individuals, in the way yatiri as couples, to make sure kuti vana vedu vari grounded and very balanced. Iriko here program yakadaro mumarriages enyu ekuti zvona muri kunyatsofunga kuti future yevana vedu toda kuipa, musingangoplana chikoro chete, asi kuplana kuti emotional well-being yevana yakaita sei, inozova ndiyo inozonovabatsira kumberi uko pavachaitawo chii maadults, pavachaitawo chii maleaders, nokuti zvinobva zvazoti even ari leader muorganization opai, kana childhood yachona yanga iri damaged, inonokonzera kuondomoka kwematanda kumberi. Saka ndodawo kunzwa kwamuri vabereki kuti iripo here program iyi, or is it something chekuti munotofunga muchitoplanawo kuti hongu takaroorana, hongu tichada kuita upenyu tese, tichada kuita mari, tichada kupfuma, tichada kudii, tichada kuvaka vana, emotional well-being yavo zvese zvinenge zvakamira sei, munosvikawo here ikoko?
Ndokumrota.
Taura henyu.
Okay. I think this is a wide, broad subject. I think yekuronga vana is inherent with being a parent. You know, you become a parent. I mean, for most parents, you become a parent. Your number one thought is mwana wangu aite life yakanaka. That's why, you know, people go out of their way, you know, tenga preparation, you know, tenga mbereko, tenga prem, and zvakadaro. It's because, you know, naturally you want your kids to have a better life. But chisingazozikanwa nevanhu ndechekuti chi chanengaite chaizo in concrete ways kuti mwana wangu ave a better life, and that starts on day one, starts on, you know, day zero. You know, what you do, how you interact, how you interact with each other, how you interact as a family. Ina baba na mai nevana, kana tina mai nevana, kana tina baba nevana, kana, you know, that affects everything else. Okay, kunema program like financially, kunema program like kunoku Canada, kunema program like, you know, child tax benefit, you know, zvekuti vanhu vabereki vanopiwa hukama rikanonzi akandeke vana. For some parents, mari iyoyo is invested into the future of the kids. You're thinking about the well-being of the kids, and you're running on the assumption that my kids are going to go to college, university, and this is, you know, I'm not going to take that money and spend it. But kune vamwe vabereki vanoitora mari iyoyo as part of their income. Okay, saka ndakutotenga iPhone because ndapiwa child tax benefit yemwana. You're actually robbing mwana iyeye. You're disinvesting life yemwana iyeye instead of, you know, putting it away and adding some more. Mwana has become your source of income. I know, you know, situations vary. You know, not everyone can get a job. Not everyone, you know, but, you know, these things happen. Kune vabereki vanoenda above and beyond, you know, to create my investments for, you know, for vana. Ekuti tine mari iri paside singambofeka batwa. It's just for kids, and that's a sacrifice, because it doesn't mean kuti hakuna ma needs. Kune vabereki vanofunga kuti okay, ndikafa, what's going to happen to my kids? What's going to happen? And they have money set aside, or some kind of insurance policy. Something chikatika kwandiri vana vangu will not start from zero. They will start from somewhere. But those are natural ways of you know, doing things in this day and age. But I think the biggest problem is the emotional one. It's Suma Zimbabweans, you know, like I said before, it's Suma Zimbabweans. We are people that are reacting all the time. We've always been reacting. You know, 1890, we go back there, first Chimrenga. You know, we talk about Anambiananda, and some people are obsessed with, you know, building statues for you know, more than COVID. Let's not go there, but, you know, let's go back to, you know, we are still reacting to what happened in 1890, what happened in 1923, what happened in the 1950s with you know, ANC and history and nyika yedu nezvakaitika during those, you know, we are reacting. When you see our parents isusu, you know, vanga vane hasha idzodzo dzaibva somewhere. you know, unonzwa vanhu vachitaura kuti iwewe baba vako matauriro auri kuita iwewe kuti mai vako vaitaura zvakati. Are you sure mai vako havasi mai vangu inini? Because there's a common language here ishandiswa navabereki. But when you look at it, vabereka vanga vari under a system of oppression, system that didn't care about them, system that saw them as things versus people, and that created a lot of stress in them, and so that became a common way of dealing with their stress. You know, kumba kwao kune stress, you know, kungotukana, you know, the husband is gone kwa Vari, unoshanda iko Blawayo and so on, unoshanda iko for months on end, comes back home, and you know, hapana relationship. You know, hapana pandinoziva. You know, I saw my dad, you know, just being affectionate in any way. I have no idea how that, you know, I had to learn myself, and I'm still learning. But I didn't see my dad for a long time. He died when I was 5, but that 5 years that they were separated, and you know, I just remember running. Baba wangu, and he's a stranger, but Baba wangu, I have to run, you know, because the Baba wangu. But you get there and you see the pana emotion, pana anything, pana affection, you know. So they have their own little world that is completely affectionless. I mean, there are people who have a different understanding of this, different experience. But let's not discount a lot of us, you know, lost our parents during the war. A lot of us lost our parents during what happened after the war. A lot of us are still losing parents due to the situations that are happening in politics, independence, colonization, and all of that. We are in a framework of reaction. And so, and then things were passed down to us. When the Bible talks about, you know, punishing from generation to generation, some of it is not just, it's not punishment as such, but it's, you know, what is passed down because of, you know, observation, what you are seeing, you know, without noticing that you're watching it. You know, your outcomes become defined by what happens around you. So vanhu became vanhu, and we became, you know, we found ourselves on the receiving end. Saskam, nothing positive. And if you ask now, why did you talk like that? You know, it was hard for me. But we picked up, you know, that language. Saskam, we're still using that word. We don't even know what it meant. We picked up some of that information, and we ran with it, you know. To see right, but you know, and it's not just a nyaya, you know, it's just the way it is, and we take it and we, you know, glorify it, and we run with it, and we pass it down to our kids, you know. And then when gets no other information, 25, gets married. Chicha knows about marriage. Chicha knows about harmony. Chicha knows about kugarisana mumba. Chicha knows about treating vana. So we need to be conscious of all that. Tofana kuziva our past. We have to understand the negative things that are in our past, so that we can correct them, so that we can be very measured in the way we move forward. I saw these things, and parent yakadai so, and spouse yakadai so, I'm moving forward, I'm gonna be my own person, you know. And it takes, you know, it takes fighting, it takes, you know, it's not just gonna automatically go away, because this thing was instilled in you. We have to constantly remind ourselves, what am I struggling with? What are my thought processes like? From the past. What are some words that were spoken to me or spoken around me? One of the things that I remember very well was my dad had a woman, so, you know, when my mom left, you know, all the vulgar words that I know in my life were the words that she used. And you had no one to tell, you had no, those words have stuck with me. When I think of those words, I think of her. I think of how I try to react to those, you know, knowing kuti ndogonobro and kafa, knowing kuti, you know, there are all kinds of things around how we were, you know, we were raised. It is that said, you know, some people tend to overcorrect because they don't want to be, they want to be the opposite. Yes, and then we overcorrect and we become exactly the same, not in doing the same thing, but in doing it the exact opposite. and we have the exact same effect on our kids because of what we end up not doing.
Tete Modi.
Wow. Nhasi tikutonge tanga tichinwa kuledi imwe chete pano. We are really speaking from the same book. It's so interesting to listen to it, which I don't know if you guys are seeing the same thing. I'm really enjoying this. So pambobvunzwa mubvunzo earlier wekuti ndichadzoka paperera kwamakeni pandaudzokera kumashure ndichana kuti what can we do? Indongofunga kuti from what you were saying, we have to learn. Our parents havana kukanganisa everything. Pane zvinhu zvavakagona. So it's so important to always look back and say, what did they do good? And you take that. And if every generation does that, we continue to become better people. Unfortunately, for different reasons, tinozokundikana kuzodecide kuti ichi chinhu chakaitika muupenyu hwangu, like the words in coma. I don't believe that you use any of those words. You are just aware of them. These words akauya mukati muupenyu hwangu because you could have made a choice to become that dad who throws those words around, but you didn't. So my point for saying that ndeyekuti zvawakaona zvakaitika mukati meupenyu hwako uri mwana iko zvinoizvi wamunhu mukuru, choose kuti generation yangu inoi ine vana vangu, first for me and my household from this point going forward, izvi takusiya kumashure. I have one living parent and I wish he was listening to this. Baba vangu vakambotaura nerimwe gore kuti inini I was not a perfect man, but I want you to take my life and take only the good things and frame them. The rest of your life makatarisa zvanga zvisina kunaka zvamusingafarire munokanda kubhini, but zvandakagonawo frame it and keep it and pass it to your children. So that's what my father told me and my brother. So I hang on to that. What did he teach me? He taught me with hard work. Apana chako ndechedikita. That's a statement I heard all the time. Chako ndechedikita, utore chinhu chisiri chako. Kana uri musikana urarame papocket isiri yako. Kusvikira ndiroorwe ndataura boyfriend kuti aiwe shamwari ina handisi ATM and iwe hausi ATM yangu, inetwa yangu iwe netwako. Because baba wangu waibva waniti ndichibuda mumba $20 yako iyi haudye chemunhu, haukwidze taxi nemunhu yako yekudzoka kumba unayo. Those are the values that I hang on to this day. Saka ndikuedza kutaura kuti take what your parents did good and pass them to your children. Don't take zvinhu zvakaipa zvaitwa nevabereki, because vanhu vanenge inini newe vatoriwo nemwoyo yakaundundika ine ma-struggles, vane ma-struggles avo avaienda through, but we don't have to inherit bad things. Only take the good and pass them on. Tikaramba tichingodaro, we'll be all right. It's going to be okay. And in addition, kuti vana vedu avanokura ma-categories sevabereki, I don't remember pabvunzwa mubvunzo na tete Monica kuti vabereki vanogara pasi here. I don't remember that. I think they just do thega, so they just do thega. So I feel like, but looking back, now that my oldest is 20, and I look back, I think my categories: social, emotional, financial, religion, like there are all these different categories that you just participate in without even thinking about it. But if I was to talk to a young couple today who are starting their home, I would say be very intentional in each of those categories. Kana iri social and emotional, let your children watch you have a conflict zvakanaka and solve it sevanhu vari sane. Let them watch Mamana did vasingataudzani for a day and watch you hug and kiss tomorrow because must solve a problem. Because that's just how life goes. Let them see you muchigadzirisana, because they learn from watching zvamuri kuita imimi more than what we say with our mouths. Ndikati iwe yakona kutuka munin'ina wako but indabva kushaudha baba wacho, it doesn't make sense. You're passing confused signals. So ndozva ndingangoti vabereki vachiri kutanga dzimba, vana vasati vasvika kuma-20s esikudai ma-mistakes takatoita kudhara. If you are just starting out and you're listening today, be intentional. Rongera vana vako, involve your children as soon as it is appropriate. Kuti mari inosevwa, mari inotaidhwa, mari inobviswa kuchechi, you give vanhu vekwatakabva. Ona vanina vari kuZimbabwe havana bhutsu, tengerawo vana, tumira $20 yawashanda kuUber Eats. Involve them in managing money, involve them in being a citizen, involve them now. Akona kuti kumariro kwaingoendwa nevabereki, we don't even know why it way. Mazuva vabereki vakunziita mariro, we don't know what to do because we were never involved. You know what I mean? So if I was to do some things over, those let us be very intentional. Zvaunoziva zvakanaka, itoita intentionality chaiyo. You know, game night chaiyo. I spoke to one of my patients the other day and I was just asking people about this discussion. It doesn't matter kuti murungu kana kuti munhu mutema kana kuti mui. everybody says, when I look back, I wish I had spent more quality time with my family. Quality time can be things like kutamba my game, which are your board game as a family. Have game nights in menu because you begin to pick out what mane asha. Vanhu vasingadi kukundwa, vanhu vaya vanoti vakakundwa vanobva vapotsera kumadziro, ndopa unopika tunhu itwotwo because vakawanda.
You know what right now, don't we?
So you pick up on little things by spending quality time. You pick up on anoti akaenda kunoshanda kuMcDonald's akangowana $20 uyu amanya kumo mobva matoziva kuti iri roda kuti ritaurwe naro kuti mari hainzarwo ukabata mari examples just to answer those questions. And then, like someone already said it, we have to create our own. Ini ndakapinda mumba ndichifunga kuti inini mai vangu vaingoshanda mari yavo yanga iri yavo. Baba vangu vaibva vaprovaida zvese, vaibva kuti mari yamai venyu handinei inayo. Saka ndakatopinda mumba ndichifunga kuti yangu ndeyangu. Saka ndaenda kuisa yangu pocket because that's what I knew. And that was a struggle. I comfortably shared that all the time because I couldn't understand what do you mean kuti yangu ndeyedu. Handiti yangu ndeyangu asi yangu wewe ndeyedu. 20-something years old arguing yangu ndeyangu. Aiwa kaiyosha mwari totoronga kazviva aiwa ka. Little did I know that's what worked for my family. Ndozvaivashandira ndonge iri pride yababa wangu kuti his pride was I provide for my family. Iwe shanda tumari kwakoenda isa kuchechi kwako kwaunenda. I take care of my home. That was them. Times have changed. We live in the diaspora. So it took a little bit of time for me to catch up with the I'm speaking to another young woman like me at some point who didn't know what they were doing. The last part I wanted to say, you can only teach what you know. We might not be very specific, but my experiences that I own personally, watching other people, you can only teach what you know. So you better equip your children to teach all the next person what they know. And then akuna manual. I wish there was a manual and author motinyorera bhuku rekuti zvinoitwa sei hakuna manual. Izvozvo zvatiri kutoita izvozvi ndokutobatsirana kwacho ikoko, just tipatanura little by little, unpacking this, unpacking that. Nobody has the solutions. And pray for your homes, pray for your children. Tonamatira vana vedu, kunamatira marriage yako. Mumba musina Jesu hamunakidze. Amen.
Amen. So just fewer.
Okay, you asked question yokuti nenyaya dzemari nevana nekuvadzidzisa nyaya dzemari. Am I correct at one point? Because we talked about a lot of things and then
yangu yangere kuti mvunzo wangu wangari kuti kunoitwa ma-financial planning, kunoitwa zvese zvinoitwa. Pama-planning apa, is there one specifically to cater for emotional well-being yevana? Because ma-financial anoitwa emotional well-being, because ndiye nozounza balance.
Well, I can't. Okay, I understand. Emotional is what Mo just talked about. We have to build a healthy child by what we do. One of these, they become what they grow up seeing, right? And it's important, whether it's financial, emotionally, or whatever. What they see is what they will grow up to be. A choice. Above all, they will make a choice. I'll give you an example. Inina, I've got one child, and I struggled to have that one child. My husband and I, we had that one boy. He's a father of 4 now. One boy, father of 4 now. But when he was growing up, to me, it was quite intentional. I told myself, you know what? I used to tell somebody, because my little hustling, to my side hustles, and then I was a professional woman, but I'm going to hustler all over. My father was a businessman that I couldn't do account and I used to go with my child. And what I used to get from my friends, it was people. You know what I used to tell them? Ndakusira mwana asingaziva zvekuita because ndaimufuridzira all the time. I don't think it will be helping you and mwana wacho. So I deliberately told myself I've got one child, but I'm not going to raise him like an only child, right? I came from a family of 3. My 2 brothers were much older. I was like an only child. I came 10 years later. So really, I was the only girl, the last born, but my father was something else. That man was something else. And right, mwana haagariswe pamakumbo kudai uchimuridza kunge ngoma, so mangwana anokunetsa. Yes. And those were his words. And you know, yeah. Because if you don't deal with it. And it stuck in my head, and I told myself I'm not going to raise a boy like that. My husband sometimes would say, "Oh, spew a bit too much, Taka." Just no. I used to go and market nae, when he was 8, 9 years old. And I'll tell you what happened when he was 9 years old. Akapiwa mari birthday, like my brothers, and gifts and chichi. And he said, "Mommy, I want to invest my money." Because I financial gazette, my shares or chichi. Because I want to invest, okay, I'll make an arrangement for you. I'll go to HSBC for you. We invest. Okay, I forgot in no. I said, I'm not going to get there. I'll make an appointment. I'll sit in my car outside. Unoenda upstairs. Akafika kabhashi kake, katai kake, akabhashika nemari yake, $97 And he did it himself. He was 9 years old. And from there on, every Thursday, I told a financial gazette, I should have gone out my shares. He was 9 years old. He's in finance right now. He's 36 now, and he is in finance. And really, Mukasa did samana. He would never learn to do that. Every holiday, I to meet a driver to end up and on of a shop, and I'm not he was only 11, 12, 14, 15. Akakura chizviona and kuti I like akakura zvirimo. No, because younger people vanayo mwana anongodzi bai unonetsa stirek oende same level apiwa hobwe mari vaenda. They don't know how to make money. They are not money inotiza. And mwana akakura baba wangu waiti money you should call it sir. Mangwana inofuma yakatiza, so if you don't respect it, uchidya mari uchipachura. All those little things vaitaura izvozvo. They never leave me in my 60s, still at the back of my, it's like ndiri kuvaona, so ndikada kurasika pfungwa nezvinhu, so it sticks in them. We are representative of what our children would think. And when it comes to whether it's finances, whether it's emotional, it's entirely up to us. Somebody zemwana wangu zaiuya kumba kwedu because anga an only child and he hated being an only child. My son hated being an only child. Agara chinjitaura ndikataka please. Pamwe saka akazoita wana wakawanda ndikati you can make your own please. This is what right? But ndaimuudza kuti if your friend comes, kana pane bed one, iwe unorara pasi, your friend sleeps on the bed. Yes, muri kuya kuswimming, kana somebody yako asina ndike, you give him your spare bathing suit. And you cannot expect a child to be considerate or to share things with other people. And you raise the only child. An only child doesn't know how to share. It's all mine, right? You have to tell them. So this I just wanted to share my own experiences with. And I'm not saying my son is the best. But to me, he is. I mean, for an only child, he's really proved to be a very solid person, and he has to deal with his 4 children. I don't have to.
Yes. Aiwa, tatenda chaizvo. Mapoints esataurwa taanzwa taona chaizvo futi kuti inyaya itori hombe ine mabazo nemabazo akasiyana. Saka tinogozodzoka zvakare tichitarisa rimwe bazi renyaya iyi. Nekuti mviro dzekusachengeta vana zvakanaka dzinozonooneka kumberi uko dzakutovhiringidza zvakawanda chaizvo. Saka toda kuti tirambe tichibatsirana kuitira kuti tiraize vana vari grounded. Vana vari kuitawo futi kuti generations pamberi apo dzinge dziri nani, nekuti tikada kutarisa kuri kuenda zvinhu so and then tofunga kuti izvona vana vane pakasarira pakati one day kuti tizofunga kuti ivo vachazopasa batoni kune vana vanenge vakaita sei, zvimwe zvacho zvinototyisa. Saka tinotoramba tichiita sei, tichitaura. Saka iyo 1 minute yatasara naye iyi, tetesipiwe naanti Maudi, udzai vanhu kuti nei vachifanira kuvhotera salve. Voting iri kukwana mangwana. Ndopari kuvhara.
Votera salve because this is the future of us. And salve kana tichitadza kuti pamberi na Monica naayeka, then tiri kuzvisa kumashure tega isusu because this is our future.
Tete Moti.
Ndobvumirana naona tete Sipiwe, ndofunga kuti salve inotaura zvinhu zviya zvatinoti tinonyara kutaura pane vanhu. Pana tinotibvumidza kuti tive vulnerable and really touch matopics ari sensitive mucommunity. Zvekuhwandira zviye salve haibvumidzi. Inoti taurai zvinhu sezvazviri ndokuti tikwanise kuramba tichienderera mberi tichibudirira tichida vanhu vari nani from place to place to place, zvisina secret asi zviri polite.
Aiwa tatenda. Voterai salve. Salve TV, Monica kunze kweguta, ndo zvakanyorwa ipapo. Virtual show of the year. Tichaisa futi link pamudiscussion imomo. Tinotenda nekuti ndimi maita kuti salve nominate. Salve yakanominatwa nekuti yanga ichiita maviews akawanda. Rambai muchititsigira kuti tirambe tichikupakurirai nyaya dzehupenyu, nyaya dzinovaka nenyaya dzinotisimudzira. Tatenda.
Mazvita zvenyu.